Just a reminder that these videos are made for adult doll collectors or adults buying dolls for others. This is not a video for children. Viewer discretion is advised. Thank you very much for listening. Hello internet! My name is Kelsey and welcome back to my closet. Yes, I actually got to go to another antique store not too long after the last one that we did. It just so happened that my second cousin, she's like in her 60s or whatever, she and her husband and some other family were going to a wedding in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is like Amish country, and they wanted us to come and meet them for a little bit because we don't get to see them very much. They live in Brooklyn, so we went to eat with them for a little, and then when they went to the wedding, we hung around, but it was a Sunday. If you know anything about Amish country, nothing is open on Sunday, except for non-Amish owned businesses like the Cackleberry Farms antique store, which is in a town called Paradise. And I had been there once a while ago and always wanted to go back because it was just this big, expansive antique store. I collect ceramics and other like tea related things and Victorian things, so I had gotten a couple of Victorian things there, but now that I'm into collecting dolls, antique stores are just so much fun to go to, and I was like, I know there's gonna be some good stuff there. So we went there because it was open and nothing else was open. First, we're gonna watch some footage from that place, and then we'll talk about the one and only doll that I did buy in the end. So you'll have to forgive me because it's been about a month since we went to this place, and I might not remember everything exactly, so I'm kind of re-seeing this stuff for the first time. Here at this booth, we had a vintage fashion pack for Candy. I've never heard of that doll before, but there were a lot of vintage things at this antique mall. A lot of the glass cases too. This Peter Rabbit Barbie was super cute. I really liked her face and her dress. Then we had a vintage Polly Pocket in this case. Don't know which one that is. If you recognize that, you'll have to let me know. This one I do though. This is the Mansion. I actually had bought this on eBay with like none of the accessories, but then I resold it again because I was kind of over it. But it is pretty cool. There's a lot of cool features in that one. Here we had a holiday Barbie, and I believe this is the first holiday Barbie, and she was priced ridiculously high. I don't know. I felt like that was overkill. Like maybe $50 or $100, but not $250. We had this Elizabeth Taylor doll. She was pretty interesting. Back there we had a naked Ken. Kind of reminds me of the Ken from Toy Story. And then that Shirley Temple doll who was slightly creepy. And then over here, these were the only Monster High dolls that I saw in the entire store. So we had Threadarella, yeah, from whatever, the Fairy Tales line. We had a G1 Nephra. That I can understand the price because she is very popular. And then we had 13 Wishes Twyla. Again, understand the price on these because, I mean, that's just kind of the market for G1 Monster High these days. Here we had a Barbie camper from the 2000s. I don't know why that deserved to be in a case like that, but there was this doll hiding back here. I'm not sure who she was, or these two. I think some of them might have been gem dolls, but that tall one, I don't know who she was, and I couldn't get a good look at that one with the blue hair to really tell what she was. Here we had a vintage Barbie case that was kind of small, and then an original Flatsy in the box. Now these, those are really cool. My mom has a couple of original Flatsies from when we were starting to look at vintage toys on eBay. This is a shot of the whole store, and you can see it's a very long building, and what I appreciate is that it's just two aisles with one throughway so that you can know where you haven't looked at yet. Over here we had some Fashion Fever Barbie styling heads. She did not work anymore, but they had a lot of cool accessories. And then this one, I guess, is supposed to be Nikki? Yeah, I'm not super into styling heads, but it looks like you could grow the hair on this one, so that's kind of cool. And I know Fashion Fever is like a really popular era for Barbie in the 2000s. And I mean, they had some pretty sculpts for styling heads. Here we actually had a My Little Pony, but she was falling over in the case, so I could not see what kind of pony she was. And then we had these small dolls, which I think were part of a She-Ra line. That one says Catra. I don't know anything about these, but I know random dolls like this, sometimes people like them. Then we had this My Little Pony. I don't know who she was. She was kind of cute, looked to be in decent shape. Now this is the booth where I found the most Barbie stuff, and I was kind of surprised. I thought I would see more Barbie stuff, but really the Barbies were very spread out and random. So we had that NASCAR one, we had the Sugar Plum Fairy from the Nutcracker, but not from the movie version, I don't think. This Barbie, I was tempted to get her. I really liked the dress on this. This is a Cinderella Barbie. I just really liked the gold with the blue, and she has the superstar face. Very cute, but I did ultimately buy something else in the end, but we'll get to that later. This is an Olympic Cabbage Patch. I don't see a lot of boxed Cabbage Patch Kids when I go antique hunting. We have an Olympic Ken. And then we have this, oh, what was she? Australian Barbie? Yes, Australian Barbie. She looks like she came straight out of the Outback. And then up here, we had a bunch more. So we're gonna ignore Darth Vader over there. I did have to shift a couple things, but we had a bunch of slim box Barbies called Barbie Style, which it's kind of funny because that's a name that they still use. They were only $9.99 at KB Toys. But they had some interesting outfits, of course, very Y2K, like, wow, really Y2K. But there was a lot of variety. It was kind of, I mean, I didn't really know about that particular line, but they kind of remind me of like fashionistas before fashionistas. We had this Flower Fun Barbie. She was probably a little older. The holiday season Barbie, I've seen her multiple times in different stores. I always liked that sweater, but she has painted white legs, and that I'm not a fan of. We have a couple more of these slim Barbies, and then this one, I actually had this one. The Spot Scene, I don't think I have her anymore, but I definitely did have that one. You were supposed to put the spots on the dog, and they were stickers, and they didn't want to stay. It's another one of these Barbie style ones. Ruffle Fun Barbie. This one has a ruffle that you can change depending on how you want to style her, and looks like there were other ones. I think I had that one with the cowboy hat. That's why I pointed to that one. We have another Barbie style. This one in a denim dress. This one was pretty cute. This one doesn't have pictures of other dolls on the back. Up at the higher shelf, there were even more Barbies. So well, first of all, we had a High School Musical doll. We had this Daphne from the Scooby-Doo movie, the sequel movie. You can see Monsters Unleashed. Here we have Vanessa Hudgens doll. This is a NASA Barbie. She's pretty cool. She's a Mars explorer. This is the Daphne from the first movie. Her outfit is definitely more like Daphne from the cartoon, but I didn't like her face quite as much as the other one. Back here we have some Dancing with the Stars, which I couldn't quite reach, so I couldn't flip her around. This one was pretty cool. That chainmail shirt and then the metal belt there that says Diva. She was actually really pretty. Then we had this shelf slightly below. We have the Bob Mackie Holiday Barbie that's supposed to look like a Christmas tree. I had moved her out of the way to reach somebody else. The Black Canary Barbie, who is notorious for looking like a dominatrix. We had a couple of holiday Hannah Montana dolls, which I didn't know were a thing. They do sing, or at least they did. I did try to press her button, but it wasn't working. So I guess her batteries were dead. There was a Padme doll back there, another holiday Hannah Montana, which I had to go around to the other side. There was kind of like stuff in the middle of the booth that blocked me from just walking from one side to the other. I mean, the outfits were pretty cool. I'm not like, you know, I don't really care about Hannah Montana or Miley Cyrus, but the outfits looked really nice. I forgot to look and see who they were made by. I'm guessing Mattel. Here is a Holiday Angel Barbie. And then we have this Beast doll from Beauty and the Beast, and this is one of the original Mattel Disney dolls from the 90s. I've seen that Belle before, and I've seen this Beast before out of the box. I think this is the first time I saw him in the box with all his accessories, so that was pretty cool. This holiday Barbie, I've seen her before. She's very pretty. And then we have this Easter Barbie from Russell Stover's, and then Army Barbie wearing fatigues. I think we saw her at the one in Kentucky. And then finally, another Dancing with the Stars doll with a really pretty flamenco outfit, if I'm not mistaken. If I am mistaken, please do correct me, but yeah, that was a very pretty outfit. Also at this booth, we had some superhero Barbies, which were on top of a comic rack. So that was kind of cool that they purposely arranged them that way. And then we also had the Swamp Thing. Down a little further, I found these two Tinkerbell dolls, or, well, fairy friends, not Tinkerbell herself, by Jakks Pacific. I think these are fairly well sought after. I don't know. I don't really know anything about the Tinkerbell dolls. But we had Silver Mist, and then here we had Rosetta. They were pretty cute, but again, not really my thing. So if you happen to be in the area and you're looking for these, they might still be there. They were like $45 or something. Here we have another holiday Barbie from the 2000 Millennium one. We have this holiday celebration Barbie. Always holiday Barbies. And then we have this one, which is a Teresa. A couple of vintage Cabbage Patches, I believe, or special edition ones, wrapped up in the box still. At this stand, we have the Millennium Bride, I think? Yeah, Millennium Wedding. That dress is very, very pretty. This person also had a few special edition Snow Whites, so there's one in this case, and then there's another one of the same doll that I can show you a little closer in a minute. We have the reproduction of, well, first of all, I don't know what kind of doll that is. Vogue doll? I've never seen them before. But we also have an Enchanted Evening reproduction Barbie in this case, which I feel like she's popping up more and more in these antique stores. And then over here again we have these Snow White dolls. So this is Enchanted something Snow White, and then we have the more playline Snow White, who is supposed to be a birthday. I guess she's having a birthday party in the woods with all her critters because she's got little streamers on her dress. Kind of cool that they did an alternate outfit. They still do birthday princesses once in a while from the Disney store. And then behind this marionette, we had the 2009 holiday Barbie, who I do not remember ever seeing before, but I really like her. She's giving like a rose gold thing. I went through like all the holiday Barbies and picked out ones that I really liked, and I don't remember her, but now she's kind of on my radar. Okay, so here's that Snow White, the Enchanted Princess, and she's definitely more collector edition. She's got a velvet bodice, she's got a really detailed skirt, and I'm not big on Snow White or anything. I even recently rewatched the original and was kind of like underwhelmed by how much filler there was in the plot, but she's had some pretty dolls over the years. We have this winter one, which has some fur. Here we have Mary Had a Little Lamb. Yeah, we've seen her before too. And then this I think is an Inspiring Women one, which is a newer one of Eleanor Roosevelt. Over here, I definitely had this Teddy Grahams bear. I probably still have him hiding somewhere in my basement. Seeing him again was so nostalgic, and I really actually like him. I gotta find him. We have a couple McDonald's Barbies. These are of the era that I remember where they were kind of posed. I definitely had this Ken, for sure. And they had real hair, just like the rest of them was plastic, so it was fun to collect them. We have this one, which is a Teresa, and then we have this one. They definitely did a lot of these with the big voluminous skirts for the McDonald's ones. Here we have an Angel Barbie. I think we've seen her before in other places. She's really pretty. I do like the angel ones, but I always forget about them after I leave the thrift store. Another NASCAR Barbie. We always see a NASCAR Barbie. At this booth, we had this huge vintage Barbie house. This is one of the prettiest Barbie houses. And I also have a soft spot for Victorian architecture, so the turret in the front there was definitely doing it for me. I've seen other people buy this house from antique stores or thrift stores. Definitely would be one that I would pick if I was going to have a house, but I don't have room for them. So at this booth, I found this Barbie with a walking horse, and I have one of the walking horses, but it was older than this, so it wasn't this specific one, but she had a cute outfit. Again, very Y2K. And then we had this Megan doll, which is Style It Megan, the second wave. She's from the later era of Bratz. I didn't see a price on her. I will talk a little bit more about the price situation when we go back to the closet, but she was cool. I mean, I don't really have any of the Bratz from that era because I was already not playing with them anymore, but she wasn't too bad. And then we have Bratz Play Sports. I believe this is Dana playing basketball. Yeah, she's pretty cute. I'm not really into sports dolls, but I do like Dana. I always have. I found another vintage Barbie case. This one had stuff in it. So we had a bunch of outfit pieces that I just kind of went through to look at. The fabrics on these are always nicer than what you get nowadays. Here we have some very 70s pants. That's also a very 70s piece, the sweater bodysuit. And that's really cool. A knitted bodysuit with fur. I mean, it's atrocious, but also just cool. This almost looks like a dawn dress. It looks way too small for Barbie. We have this sparkly number here. Definitely some interesting things. There's always some interesting clothes to be found in the vintage era. And then the last thing that I spotted were these two American Girl dolls, and again, I was doing this one-handed. I couldn't tell if they were original Pleasant Company dolls or not, and I don't really know enough about American Girl to instantly spot the difference. So if you're an American Girl collector and you know, or if there is a way to tell just based on the faces, definitely let me know. Alright, so we are back from the antique store, and out of all the dolls that I saw, I was between the Daphne from Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed and that Megan Style It Megan, because there was no price on the Megan, and I went to one of the store workers and I said, hey, there's no price on this. Would you be able to find out how much it's supposed to be? And she said, oh yeah, he's my son-in-law, I'll call him. And he said 45, and she was like, I was really surprised at that. But then I looked on Google and she's selling for even more than that, which is true. The prices in that store were very, very reasonable compared to what was, you know, on eBay and stuff for these dolls, because and she explained it that because they were in a rural area and there's not as many shoppers as in the big cities, that's why they charged less, so that people would be more inclined to buy. And she's like, he said 45, but I could probably do 38. And I was thinking about it, and then I went back to look at Daphne with her, and my brother walked by, and I was like, hey, you know, which one of these? And he pointed at Daphne. And yes, she's like twice as much as the Megan, but I just couldn't get over this knit poncho thing that she's wearing, and I just thought she was so pretty. So I was like, you know, I really appreciate the discount offer, but I gotta go with Daphne. I've always been a Scooby-Doo fan, and I even at one point I had Scooby-Doo sheets and curtains and stuff in my room when I was in elementary school. That's how big on Scooby-Doo I was. So I was like, I gotta get Daphne. I don't have any Scooby related Barbies. I think I did at one point, but I don't know what happened to her. I have the Scooby figure that came with her, but not the doll. Yes, I did wind up getting Daphne for $80, but I did, again, get a deal on her because the lowest price I've seen online is $100, and she goes anywhere from that to like $150 to $200. I think it was a pretty good deal, and you know, I wouldn't normally have had her on my radar, but she just so happened to present herself to me at the right time. And the other thing is, like, the other Daphne from the first movie was more classic Daphne in outfit, although with like a Y2K spin, but I didn't like her face as much as I liked the face on this one. I did also pick up this painting, which is currently hanging at my cubicle of work, so I can't show you anything more than this picture of it, but the vendor happened to be walking by while I was looking at it, and it was originally set at like $60, and I'm admiring it and everything, and she's like, oh yeah, it's really beautiful, I just don't really have room for it anymore. And I didn't realize she was the vendor. I was like, oh, did you paint this? She's like, no, I just had it for a while. She's like, I could probably do 45 on it. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna take it for 45. It was so fun. And you know, now it's Halloween season, so a witch painting and Scooby-Doo. It's very appropriate for Halloween. Let's talk about Daphne. So this movie, I have seen the second one, but I saw the first one in theaters. It's so raunchy and campy and everything. I think people don't appreciate it maybe as much as they should, and they definitely did not appreciate the second one, which is probably why this Barbie is more expensive now, because the dolls from that movie probably didn't sell as well because of the movie. And it's so odd for them to make Barbies of the movie characters when, again, the movie's very raunchy. There's a lot of sex jokes, a lot of drug jokes, because Shaggy's implied to be a stoner. Then they make Barbies and they're not even like collector Barbies, they're Playline Barbies. So anyway, let's check out this box. As you can see up on the one corner, it says 2003, so we have the 2000s Barbie logo there in the corner, and there is Barbie as Daphne. We've got a ghost in the corner. There's a couple of items that have fallen, which are at the bottom of the box. You can hear them rattling. And then we have a Scooby that comes with it. It says Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. And then on the back, we have a cartoon haunted house and that ghost again, and then a picture of the actress, who I don't remember who she is, and Scooby. But they did more of a cartoon Scooby for the figure to go with the doll. Yeah, again, it's just very weird collaboration. Like, I know Barbie has done other Scooby character dolls from the original show, but the movies were not meant for kids. So let's get her out. All right, guys, here is our Barbie as Daphne out of the box, and she is really pretty. Like I said, I didn't like the other face as much. I like this one. It's pretty much Barbie, just with red hair. It's a cute 2000s Barbie face, and she comes with sunglasses, which are rubber banded on, but the rubber bands have deteriorated. Oh no, look, she's got a bald spot. Oh no. Oh man, she might have to wear the sunglasses permanently on her head, but this is what they look like. They are just a solid hot pink plastic with no see-through parts for the lenses. They have been kind of warped from being on her head all this time. We'll just put those back there. Now you can't even tell. But she does have red hair, like I said. We've got a little side swept bang there. The hair needs a little bit of a brush, but it is nice saran. It's not super long either, but I guess that's to go with the character in the movie. She has some light makeup, you know, mostly in pinkish purple color because that's her whole color scheme. No earrings, and she has brown eyes, which is interesting to see on the Barbie sculpt since Barbie usually has blue eyes. And then as far as her outfit, again, we have this crazy poncho. Ponchos were such a big thing. I had a poncho, I think. One or two, and I don't remember wearing them very often because I just wanted one so that I could fit in. This one is tied with some string right at the bottom, but it does have a Velcro opening, so I'm gonna snip this string here. I want to take this off, and well, first of all, she has a shirt on underneath, which I was not necessarily expecting. It's a sleeveless magenta shirt with a rounded collar and shows her midriff, but at least they gave her a shirt underneath. But this is the star piece, obviously. Inside, there is a little tag, which I miss when they did that. It says Scooby-Doo in the classic cartoon font, and it is knit. It's made of actual yarn. It velcros in the front. We have this cute striped pattern with whites and different shades of pink. We have the armholes down here. We have actual buttons sewn on, even though it is Velcro. They at least put the buttons there for show. And a little fringe at the bottom, which does continue all the way around. The knitted pattern doesn't continue all the way around, but the back is also made of yarn. And as someone who now knows how to crochet, I know the difference between something that's knitted and something that's crocheted. So this is knit. You can tell because of the up and down arrow pattern. And then for the rest of her outfit, oh, I love these pants. We have these pink twill pants that are flared at the bottom. They are just solid. There's no stitch details or anything for like pockets or whatever. But yeah, I do love the flare. They probably can't fit on a modern Barbie, but I want to try. See, I kind of want to get the outfit from the first movie doll to put her in so she can like swap back and forth between movie 1 and movie 2. That's gonna have to be something I look for in the future down the line. But then if she's wearing her first movie outfit, then somebody else can wear this outfit. And then finally, we have these little pink booties. They are supposed to be slouchy boots. They're heeled and they are pink and they're not super tall. They're just above the ankle. And as far as articulation, she has the basic 5 points plus click knees. So we've got head, shoulder, hips, and click knees. Her pants are gonna split. Oh, maybe. They actually held on! And that is pretty much Daphne. She wasn't maybe worth $80, definitely not the $100 or more price that you can find online, but I'm glad that I got her for a deal, and I think she's just a really cool piece of Scooby-Doo history, I guess. She's just a really, interesting kind of doll, and they did put a lot of effort. Like, I don't know how much her original retail price was. Box doesn't have any stickers from the original retailer, but for a Playline doll from this era, I mean, this is really nice. This piece alone is just super nice. Definitely love the Y2K flare. I really like her face and the color of her hair. Accidentally rhyming here. Anyway, but that's not all. She also came with some accessories. So firstly, we have this really nice Scooby. He is flocked, so he's soft. He can turn at the head and his tail can turn as well. And he's in a sitting position. He's even flocked on the bottom. And again, he's made in the cartoon style. He doesn't look like the CG Scooby from the movie, which is good because that probably would have looked really creepy as a figure. He has his molded on collar in that turquoise black spots. A really nice Scooby figure, and even has a little bit of articulation. She also has a couple of other accessories. So we have this teeny tiny plastic purse, which is the same pink as all the other plastic accessories that she has. It can open, but has like no detail on it whatsoever. I guess she must have carried a tiny purse in the movie. You might be able to fit this flip phone into it. I don't know for sure, but we have this pink plastic flip phone. It has a sticker on it for the screen and the buttons, and a hand bracket on the back, and it does open and close. Has a little molded antenna. These stickers look like they're gonna come off. They're kind of curling at the edges, and I love this. With the 5 points of articulation Barbies that they can't talk on the phone. Hello? Hello? I can't hear you! Speak up! And then we have a couple of paperboard accessories. So I don't remember much about this other movie. I remember the first movie because I've seen it a few times, but I don't remember anything really about the plot here or where they were, but there's a lot of Greek writing, so I'm guessing they were in Greece. This, I think, is a newspaper, and it has some Greek letters. I don't know what it says, I don't read Greek. And then we have this map, which has the Mr. mystery machine on it and a ghost. It did get a little bit bent from being kind of wedged into the backing of the box, but yeah, it's like a little treasure map because it's got an X down at the bottom here. Of course, we can't have a Scooby movie or anything without Scooby snacks, so we have a green and blue box with orange lettering saying Scooby snacks on the front and the back, and it does have a flap for it to open. I'm a little worried about opening it because I don't want it to rip, so you can open it. There's nothing inside, but you could put in probably little cut up pieces of cardboard to be Scooby snacks. And then we have this, which is supposed to be a book. And again, it has Greek lettering with some ghosts on it. I don't really remember the plot, but I'm sure this was significant. And this one actually has a little tab so that you can open it. All right, and that was everything that Daphne from Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed came with. Just for funsies, I do want to see if I could get these pants on a modern Barbie, and because she's close at hand and is just wearing a skirt that's easy to remove, I'm gonna try this on Jennifer. Okay, so surprisingly, everything fit really well. I even managed to squeeze her feet into the shoes, and they're staying on. I don't know if her feet are in there properly, but they are staying on. And the pants fit really well. I got the Velcro closed. There's actually a little bit of room in the legs. Obviously, the poncho's pretty easy for any doll to wear. It might be a little bit baggy, especially when you lift the arms up. And the shirt fits pretty much the same too. I'm kind of shocked. I didn't think that the pants especially were going to fit. But yeah, she can, a modern Barbie can wear this entire outfit and cosplay as Daphne, or go for trick-or-treating as Daphne from Scooby-Doo 2. Alright guys, so that was Daphne, and that's the end, and I like her. I think she was a really cool playline doll. Thinking about her from the perspective of like buying her in the 2000s, I think she just would have been a fun, really pretty doll to have. Again, I don't think she was worth $80, but I guess she must be rare because, like I said, the internet prices were even higher, some twice as high. So I'm guessing they didn't sell super well because of the movie, because the first movie one that was also in the same stall was like 45 or 40. So that one must be easier to find. Whereas this one, I guess because the movie didn't do so well, was not. It's just fun to get something from the antique store, a rare find that you probably wouldn't have even known about otherwise. I do still want to get the other outfit, have swappability. Let me know what you think of Daphne. Have you ever seen either of the live-action Scooby-Doo movies, and what did you think of them? And let me know if you saw anything in the antique store footage that you would have picked up or remember or recognize that maybe I didn't recognize. And as always, thanks so much for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, and until next time, Jeepers!